Lieutenant Olivia Dawson sat alone in the communication hub, her eyes growing heavy as she monitored the quiet channels. The night shift at Earth's Advanced Defense Fleet headquarters was usually uneventful. She reached for her coffee when suddenly every screen in the room began to flicker. "What the hell?" she muttered, fingers flying across her console. A single message appeared across all frequencies simultaneously, bypassing every security protocol Earth had established. The text was simple: "We gave you one chance. You did not listen." Below the message were coordinates pointing to a small colony on the edge of explored space. Olivia immediately alerted Admiral Daniel Harris, who arrived minutes later looking like he hadn't slept in days. "How is this possible?" he demanded, staring at the message still displayed on the main screen. "These channels are quantum encrypted." "I don't know, sir," Olivia replied. "But whatever technology sent this, it's beyond anything we have." The Admiral's face hardened. "And these coordinates?" "Nova Haven, sir. Small research colony established about 15 years ago. Mostly scientists and their families." Harris nodded slowly. "I know it. Backwater planet, minimal strategic value." He turned to Olivia. "Lieutenant Dawson, you're the best communications specialist we have. I want you on this." Within 6 hours, they were aboard the Alliance, Harris's personal vessel, breaking orbit and heading toward the distant colony. The ship's AI plotted the fastest course through slip space, a journey that would still take 3 days. Olivia spent those days analyzing the message, trying to extract any hidden data. She found nothing but became increasingly certain that the transmission hadn't originated from an alien source. "The language patterns are human," she explained to Harris in his quarters. "The encoding has Earth military signatures, just advanced versions. Whatever sent this knows our systems intimately." Harris looked troubled. Nova Haven was supposed to be researching agricultural techniques for terraforming. Nothing classified. "Maybe that changed," Olivia suggested. The ship emerged from slit space near Nova Haven, and immediate scans showed something was wrong. The colony's defense grid was offline. No ships orbited the small planet. No response came to their hails. "Life signs?" Harris asked the bridge crew. "Very few, sir," responded the sensor officer. "Maybe 20 people, all concentrated in the main complex. Colony should have over 300. Harris ordered a team prepared. He would lead it himself with Olivia and a squad of Marines. They took a shuttle down to the surface, weapons ready. The colony was a ghost town. Empty buildings stood with doors left open, meals half-eaten on tables, toys abandoned in yards. No signs of violence, no bodies, just absence. "It's like they all just walked away," whispered one of the Marines. They made their way to the central research building, which showed signs of life. Lights still worked, and security systems hummed. Inside, they found a single man waiting for them. Dr. Alan Wright. He introduced himself, looking exhausted and afraid. "I've been expecting you since the message was sent." "You sent it?" Harris demanded. Wright shook his head. "Not exactly. Please follow me. There's something you need to see." He led them deeper into the facility, past laboratories, and into a heavily secured area that required his biometric signature to enter. The room beyond held a single object, a dark metallic artifact about 2 meters tall, covered in symbols that seemed to shift when viewed directly. "3 years ago, we found this buried 2 kilometers beneath the surface," Wright explained. "It's not from any known civilization. It's millions of years old, and it contained a warning." "About what?" Olivia asked, feeling a chill despite the room's warmth. "About them," Wright said simply. "The ones who nearly destroyed the galaxy once before. The ones we accidentally woke up." His voice broke. "The ones who took everyone from the colony 2 days ago." Harris stepped closer to the artifact. "What are they called?" "They're called the Veil," Wright answered. "And now they know we exist." Dr. Alan Wright led Admiral Harris and Lieutenant Dawson into a small conference room near the artifact chamber. His hand shook as he pulled up files on a display screen. Nova Haven was supposed to be researching advanced farming methods, Wright explained. That was our cover story. In reality, we were studying this artifact since it was discovered during routine excavation. Images appeared on the screen showing the initial dig site. Workers stood around a massive pit where something dark gleamed in the earth. At first we thought it was just unusual mineral deposits, Wright continued. Then we realized it was responding to our presence. It was alive in some way. Olivia leaned forward. How did you keep this secret for 3 years? The colony director had direct connections to Earth's Science Council. They provided funding and security. Only 30 of us knew what we were really doing here. Admiral Harris frowned. And where are those 30 people now? Wright looked down. Gone. Like everyone else. I'm only here because I was in a shielded lab when they came. Who came? Harris pressed. The Veil. Wright pulled up new images on the screen. Fragments of text and symbols from the artifact. We managed to decode some of the information stored in the artifact. It's a record left by an ancient civilization, warning about a species that nearly destroyed all life in the galaxy millions of years ago. Olivia studied the symbols. These look similar to the encryption in the message that was broadcast. Wright nodded. The artifact contains a universal translation matrix. Once we accessed it, we learned the history of a devastating war. The Veil were not just conquerors, they were consumers. They fed on energy at every level, from machinery to living beings to stars themselves. Harris paced the room. If this threat was millions of years ago, why worry now? Because the Ancient Alliance couldn't defeat them conventionally, Wright explained. They used some kind of technology to force the Veil into dormancy instead, hiding them throughout the galaxy in pocket dimensions. The artifact was left as a warning to never disturb certain areas of space. And you woke them up, Olivia stated. Wright nodded miserably. We didn't know. We were studying the artifact's power source, something beyond our current understanding of physics. Our tests must have created a signal that reached into whatever space the Veil were trapped in. He pulled up security footage from 3 days earlier. The video showed the colony's main square at night. A strange distortion appeared in the air, like heat waves on a summer day. Then shapes emerged, tall, shifting figures that seemed partly physical and partly smoke. The colonists didn't even run, Wright whispered. The Veil emitted some kind of field that paralyzed everyone. They just took them, every person except me. For what purpose? Harris asked. The records suggest they use biological material for various purposes: energy, information extraction, raw materials for their technology. It's all integrated. Their ships, their weapons, even their bodies are partly organic, partly technological. Olivia turned to Harris. Sir, if this is true, we need to alert Earth immediately. Wright laughed bitterly. That won't help. According to the artifact, once the Veil begin awakening, they do so throughout the galaxy simultaneously. Dormant units that have been hidden for millions of years are activating right now. Harris's communicator beeped. Admiral, we're receiving an emergency transmission from Commander Bell's scout ship in the Proxima system. Put it through, Harris ordered. The voice that came through was breathless with fear. This is Commander Sophia Bell. Something massive just appeared near Proxima Centauri's outer moon. It's consuming it. The entire moon is being broken down before our eyes. We need immediate. The transmission cut off with a burst of static. It's starting, Wright said quietly. The Veil are hungry after their long sleep, and we just became their next meal. Commander Sophia Bell had been halfway through her morning coffee when the alert came through. Her small scout vessel, the Pathfinder, had been mapping the outer reaches of the Proxima Centauri system when sensors detected an anomaly near the system's outermost moon. What kind of anomaly? She asked her science officer, Lieutenant Rivera. Unknown, Commander. Some kind of spatial distortion forming about 2 kilometers above the moon's surface. Bell ordered the ship closer, maintaining a careful distance. What they witnessed next would haunt her for the rest of her life. The distortion grew, shimmering like heat waves on a summer day. Then something emerged, a massive vessel unlike anything in human or known alien records. It was enormous, at least 5 kilometers long, with a surface that seemed to shift between solid metal and something organic, pulsing with internal light. "Are we recording this?" Bell asked, her voice barely a whisper. "Yes, Commander. All sensors active." The alien ship extended what looked like tendrils toward the moon's surface. Where they touched, the rocky ground simply dissolved. Matter was being broken down and pulled into the ship through the tendrils. "It's consuming the moon," Rivera said in horror, "converting matter directly into something it can use." Bell immediately opened a channel to command. "This is Commander Sophia Bell. Something massive just appeared near Proxima Centauri's outer moon. It's consuming it. The entire moon is being broken down before our eyes. We need immediate." A pulse of energy shot from the alien vessel, cutting through their communications array. Alarms blared throughout the Pathfinder. "Evasive maneuvers," Bell shouted. "Get us out of here." The helmsman responded instantly, but the alien ship moved with impossible speed for something so large. Another energy beam lanced out, grazing their hull and overloading systems throughout the ship. "FTL drive damage," reported the engineer, fingers flying across her console. "We can't jump." Bell made a quick decision. "All power to conventional engines. Get us behind that asteroid cluster." The Pathfinder shot forward, diving into a dense field of space rocks. The alien vessel followed but seemed reluctant to use its energy weapon among the asteroids. "It's afraid of causing a chain reaction," Bell realized. "That might damage whatever resources it wants to harvest." For 6 tense hours, they played a deadly game of hide and seek through the asteroid field. The alien ship eventually moved away, returning to its consumption of the moon. "Repairs?" Bell asked. "Communications partially restored. FTL drive still offline," the engineer replied. "But we can transmit short range." Bell recorded everything they had witnessed and prepared a data packet. She added her own message. "The ship matches Dr. Wright's description of Veil technology. It consumed approximately 30% of the moon in just hours. After it finished, it changed shape and vanished into what appeared to be self-generated slit space. I believe it's heading toward populated systems." They limped back toward the inner system where a relay station could boost their signal to Earth. 3 days later, they detected more spatial distortions forming throughout the system. "Not just one ship," Bell told her frightened crew. "They're waking up everywhere." When they finally reached the relay station, they found it abandoned, with signs of the same dissolution technology they had witnessed. Bell managed to boost their signal enough to reach a passing transport ship, which agreed to carry their data back to Earth. As the transport departed, Bell saw more distortions forming in the distance. She gathered her crew in the mess hall. "We've done our duty," she told them. "Earth will be warned. Now we need to survive and gather more intelligence. The Veil may be advanced, but they're not invincible. They avoided the asteroid field. They have limitations. We need to find more." The crew nodded grimly. They were scouts, trained to observe and report. And now they were humanity's eyes in what was quickly becoming enemy territory. "We stay hidden," Bell ordered. "We watch, and we find a way to fight back." Captain Jack Murphy stood on the bridge of the diplomatic vessel Olive Branch, watching as his crew made final preparations. Despite his military background, Murphy had been chosen to lead humanity's first official contact mission with the Veil. His ship was unarmed, carrying only scientific equipment and symbolic gifts from Earth's nations. "Captain, we're receiving another transmission from command," said Communications Officer Grace Martinez. "Dr. Wright is requesting to speak with you." Murphy sighed. The scientist had been sending warnings ever since the mission was announced. "Put him through." Wright's haggard face appeared on screen. "Captain Murphy, please reconsider this mission. The artifact's records are clear. The Veil do not negotiate. They do not make peace. They only consume. Dr. Wright, I understand your concerns, Murphy replied patiently. But Earth's leadership believes we need to try diplomacy before assuming hostile intent. Commander Bell's observations show the Veil have technology we can't hope to match. If there's any chance of peaceful coexistence, we have to take it. They took an entire colony without warning, Wright insisted. What more proof do you need of their intentions? Murphy's expression hardened. My orders come directly from the President. We depart in 30 minutes. After ending the call, Murphy turned to Martinez. He means well. But you think he's wrong? She asked. I hope he is, Murphy replied. For all our sakes. 3 days later, the olive branch arrived at the coordinates where Veil activity had been detected. They waited at a respectful distance, broadcasting messages of peace in every known language and format. No response, Captain, Martinez reported after hours of trying. Keep broadcasting, Murphy ordered. They may need time to understand our contact. The sensor officer interrupted. Multiple vessels appearing. The main view screen showed 5 Veil ships emerging from what looked like tiers in space itself. Unlike the massive harvester that Commander Bell had encountered, these were smaller, sleeker vessels clearly designed for combat. They're scanning us, Martinez reported. Open all channels, Murphy ordered. This is Captain Jack Murphy of the Earth vessel Olive Branch. We come in peace, seeking dialogue and understanding between our peoples. The Veil ships continued to approach silently. No response to our transmissions, Martinez said, tension evident in her voice. Keep trying. Show them we're unarmed. Prepare the gift packages for visual transmission. The Veil ships suddenly accelerated, surrounding the Olive Branch in a perfect pentagon formation. Captain, the tactical officer said nervously. Hold position, Murphy ordered firmly. Do not do anything that could be interpreted as hostile. A beam of energy shot from the lead Veil ship, not at their vessel but around it, creating a field that froze their engines and communications. We're being pulled toward the largest ship, the helmsman reported. I can't break free. Murphy maintained his composure. All personnel, remain calm. This may be their way of initiating contact. The Olive Branch shuddered as it was drawn closer to the alien vessel. Through the view screen, they could see the Veil ship's hull shifting, opening like a mouth. Captain, Martinez whispered, fear evident in her voice. Maintain protocol, Murphy insisted, though sweat beaded on his forehead. They may be taking us aboard for direct communication. That hope died when the first cutting beams sliced through the Olive Branch's hull. The ship began breaking apart systematically, sections being drawn into the Veil vessel. Abandon ship, Murphy shouted. All personnel to escape pods. In the chaos that followed, most of the crew were caught by the same energy fields that had captured their ship. Only Martinez reached a pod, launched by Murphy himself moments before he was taken. Tell them, were his last words to her. Tell Earth what they really are. Martinez's pod tumbled through space, somehow ignored by the Veil ships as they dismantled the Olive Branch. Her sensors recorded everything. The methodical destruction, the absorption of materials, and finally, a message broadcast directly to her pod in perfect English. Lesser beings serve or burn. For 17 days, Martinez drifted in the tiny pod before being rescued by an Earth patrol ship. When she delivered the recording and the Veil's message to Earth Command, the debate about peaceful contact ended. Humanity began preparing for war. Major Samuel Ellis stood before the gathered representatives of 17 alien species in Earth's Lunar Conference Center. Years of tension and occasional border conflicts between these civilizations were now meaningless in the face of the Veil threat. We've all seen the data, Ellis said, his voice steady despite his exhaustion. For weeks, he had traveled between worlds, pleading Earth's case for a united defense. The Veil have destroyed 36 colonies across 12 systems. They show no interest in communication, resources alone, or territorial gains. They consume everything. The Altarian delegate, a tall being with iridescent skin, leaned forward. Why should we trust humans to lead this alliance? Your species is young, barely spacefaring by our standards. Ellis nodded respectfully. We don't ask to lead, merely to unite. The Veil see all of us as equals, equally beneath them, equally consumable. Our differences mean nothing to them. The mood in the room shifted as Dr. Lisa Freeman entered, carrying new data from the observation posts scattered throughout the galaxy. Although only 35 years old, Freeman's brilliance had earned her position as Earth's chief xenophysicist. I apologize for the interruption, she said, but you all need to see this immediately. The central display activated, showing a star system Ellis recognized as Rigel Prime, home to one of the oldest civilizations in the known galaxy. The footage showed Veil ships surrounding the system's sun, extending massive energy collectors into its corona. This was recorded 12 hours ago, Freeman explained. The Veil aren't just consuming planets and moons, they're harvesting stars for energy. The room erupted in alarmed conversations. Freeman raised her voice to be heard. The process destabilizes the star. According to our calculations, Rigel's sun will go supernova within days, not the billions of years it should have had left. The Zen representative, a methane-breathing species whose translator converted their speech to a melodic hum, spoke next. How many inhabited worlds are in that system? 14, replied the Altarian. Billions of lives. Ellis studied the faces and equivalent expressions of the gathered delegates. Fear was universal, it seemed. There's more, Freeman continued, her voice lower now. We've analyzed the pattern of Veil emergence points and their movement. They're following energy signatures, moving from the highest concentration to the next. At their current pace, they will reach the heavily populated central systems within 6 months. A heavy silence fell over the room. The Volturi delegate, a species known for their pragmatism, broke it first. What do you propose, humans? Ellis took a deep breath. A united fleet, combining all our technologies, shared intelligence, coordinated evacuations of threatened systems, and, he hesitated, research into weapons capable of stopping the Veil permanently. You have such weapons? Asked the Zen representative. Not yet, Ellis admitted, but we're close to something. Project Firestorm. Freeman pulled up another display, showing theoretical physics models. The Veil use space-time manipulation for travel and attacks. We believe we can use similar principles against them, creating localized collapses that would trap them permanently. The Altarian studied the display. This technology could be catastrophic if misused. Yes, Ellis agreed, which is why we will develop it together, with safeguards agreed upon by all. The representatives exchanged glances. The Volturi spoke first. My government will commit our fleet and scientists. One by one, the others joined, setting aside centuries of distrust in the face of extinction. As the meeting concluded with the signing of the Alliance Treaty, Ellis stepped away to watch Earth rising over the lunar horizon. He wondered how many more worlds would be lost before they were ready to fight back. Major, Freeman said, joining him at the window. The Council wants immediate deployment of the First Joint Fleet. Ellis nodded. And Project Firestorm. The combined scientific team begins work tomorrow, she replied. We have 6 months to create the impossible. We'll find a way, Ellis said. We have to. Professor Nathan Kelly had not left the underground laboratory in 17 days. At 72 years old, his body protested the long hours, but his mind remained as sharp as ever. Around him, scientists from Earth and 7 alien civilizations worked frantically on different aspects of Project Firestorm. Another simulation failure, announced his Altarian colleague, her iridescent skin dim with exhaustion. Kelly studied the holographic display showing the collapse pattern. The field is still unstable beyond the initial target area. If we deployed this version, the effect would spread unpredictably. We don't have time for perfection, said Dr. Freeman, who had joined the project after helping form the alliance. Reports from the front lines indicate the Veil have accelerated their harvest. 3 more stars destabilized last week. Kelly shook his head. If we get this wrong, we could trigger a cascade effect that does more damage than the Veil themselves. The room fell silent as the main door opened. Lieutenant Heather Powell entered, her military uniform pristine despite the chaos engulfing the rest of the base. At 34, Powell had already distinguished herself in 3 battles against Veil scout ships, earning her command of Earth's most elite special operations team. "Professor Kelly," she said, "Alliance Command requests a status update." Kelly gestured to the simulation. "We're close. The weapon can create a localized collapse in space-time that should trap the Veil ships in a pocket dimension, similar to where they were dormant before. But containing the effect is proving difficult." Powell studied the display with practiced eyes. "And if it can't be contained?" Freeman answered bluntly. "Then it keeps spreading, potentially affecting hundreds of star systems before the energy dissipates, including the deployment team," Kelly added quietly. Powell nodded, unsurprised. "Command suspected as much. That's why I'm here. My team has volunteered to deliver the weapon." "It's a one-way mission," Kelly said, looking directly at the young officer. "We know," Powell replied simply. "Every day we delay, millions more die. The Alliance fleet can't hold the Veil back much longer." An alarm sounded throughout the facility. Freeman checked her communication device. The Veil have broken through the defensive line at Proxima Centauri. Earth is now directly in their path. Kelly looked at the failed simulation, then at the faces around him. A decision crystallized in his mind. "We need to simplify," he announced. "We've been trying to create a weapon that can trap the Veil without harming surrounding space. That's no longer feasible in our time frame." He moved to the central terminal and began modifying the design. "Instead, we accept the cascade effect but control its direction and intensity. We can create a wave that specifically targets the unique energy signature of Veil technology." The other scientists gathered around, offering suggestions as Kelly refined the concept. Within hours, a new simulation showed a spreading wave that selectively affected only things bearing Veil energy patterns. "It will still destroy deployment area," the Altarian scientist warned. "My team can handle the delivery," Powell insisted. "We've captured a small Veil scout ship. We've learned enough about their technology to operate it briefly. We can get close to their fleet command center." Kelly looked at her with newfound respect. "You'll have minutes at most before they detect the incompatible life forms aboard their vessel." "Minutes is all we need," Powell said with quiet confidence. 3 days later, Project Firestorm was ready. The weapon itself was surprisingly small, a sphere 30 centimeters in diameter, containing technology from 9 different civilizations, all built around Kelly's revolutionary understanding of quantum space. Powell's team of 6 prepared for departure in a hangar deep beneath Earth's surface. Kelly handed the weapon to Powell personally. "Once activated, you'll have 60 seconds before detonation," he explained. "The effect will spread at light speed, following the specific frequency of Veil energy signatures." Powell secured the device in a specialized container. "And nothing else will be affected." Kelly hesitated. "That's the theory. But you and your team will be at ground zero," Powell finished for him. "We know the cost, Professor. We're ready to pay it." As the captured Veil ship rose from the hangar, Kelly watched with a mixture of hope and sorrow. Humanity's last defense was in the hands of 6 volunteers on a suicide mission. The captured Veil ship moved silently through space, its organic mechanical hull pulsing with stolen energy. Inside, Lieutenant Heather Powell and her 5 team members monitored the alien controls they had only partially deciphered. "Approaching target coordinates," reported Specialist Ryan Bennett, his eyes fixed on what passed for a navigation system. "The main Veil fleet is gathering around that dying star." Powell moved to his station. Through the viewport, she could see hundreds of Veil vessels surrounding a massive red giant. The star was visibly shrinking as the aliens drained its energy. "Their command vessel?" Powell asked. The largest structure, near the star's equator, confirmed Intelligence Officer Maria Guzman. It's coordinating the harvest. Powell studied the scene. The plan was simple but desperately dangerous. Approach under the guise of returning from a scouting mission. Get as close as possible to the command vessel and deploy the Firestorm device. They're scanning us, warned Bennett suddenly. Standard identification protocol. Send the response code we captured, Powell ordered. 10 seconds passed as they waited for the Veil's reaction. Finally, a path cleared among the smaller ships. They're letting us through, Guzman whispered. They think we're one of them. The stolen ship moved closer to the heart of the Veil fleet. Powell felt sweat beading on her forehead despite the ship's cooling systems. 5 minutes to optimal deployment range, Bennett reported. Powell nodded and addressed her team. We all knew this was one way when we volunteered. It's been an honor serving with each of you. They had reached the inner defense perimeter when alarms suddenly blared through the ship. Strange symbols flashed across their control interfaces. They've detected our life signs, Guzman reported urgently. We're being targeted. Full speed toward the command vessel, Powell ordered. We only need to get close enough. Their ship lurched forward as Engineer Diane Carter overrode the safety protocols. 2 Veil interceptors moved to block their path. Evasive maneuvers, Powell commanded. Bennett piloted the ship in a series of impossible turns, using knowledge gained from studying Veil movement patterns. They slipped past the first interceptor, but the second clipped their aft section. Hull breach in engineering, Carter reported. Sealing bulkheads. They were close enough now to see the massive command vessel, a structure like a dark star with tendrils extending outward. Powell removed the Firestorm device from its container. Deployment range achieved, Bennett confirmed, but they're closing in from all sides. Powell took a deep breath and activated the device. A small panel opened, revealing a simple interface. She pressed her palm against it, and the device hummed to life. A countdown appeared. 60 seconds. Broadcasting now, she announced, connecting the ship's communication array to her personal transmitter. This is Lieutenant Heather Powell of Earth's Special Defense Force. To all sentient species in the galaxy, this is humanity's final warning. Her voice was calm despite the chaos around them. The Veil threatened our existence. Our response is absolute. Any species that threatens Earth or its allies will face the same consequence. She transmitted the specifications of the Firestorm device along with visual data of the Veil fleet. The weapon we have deployed creates a cascade effect targeting Veil energy signatures. The effect will spread throughout the galaxy, eliminating their presence while leaving other life forms untouched. Remember what happened here. Peace or the galaxy burns. The countdown reached 0 as Veil energy beams struck their ship from multiple directions. Powell closed her eyes as the Firestorm activated. A sphere of distorted space expanded from their position, engulfing the command vessel first. Where it touched Veil ships, they twisted and folded in impossible ways before vanishing completely. The wave continued outward at light speed, following the energy signature of Veil technology throughout the galaxy. At monitoring stations across Allied space, scientists watched in awe as Veil ships disappeared from their sensors one by one. Powell's final transmission was received and broadcast to every world in the Alliance. In the war room on Earth, Professor Kelly watched the data stream in. The Firestorm had worked exactly as designed. The Veil presence was being erased from existence. They did it, Freeman whispered beside him. Yes, Kelly agreed solemnly. And they've changed the galaxy forever. No one will threaten humanity again without remembering this day. I notice you're asking for Part 8, but the story outline I created only had 7 parts. I can certainly write an additional part to continue the story. Here it is. 5 years passed since the deployment of Firestorm. The galaxy had changed in ways few could have imagined. Admiral Daniel Harris stood at the observation deck of the new Alliance headquarters, a massive space station orbiting a neutral point between the territories of the 17 founding species. Beautiful view, isn't it? Asked Olivia Dawson, now a captain and Earth's diplomatic representative to the Alliance. Harris nodded. Hard to believe we almost lost it all. Below them, ships from dozens of worlds moved in orderly patterns, representatives of a peace that had seemed impossible before the Veil threat. The shared struggle had transformed former enemies into cautious allies, then into genuine partners. The memorial ceremony begins in an hour, Olivia reminded him. Dr. Wright is already there. They walked together through the station's curved hallways. Beings of all shapes and sizes nodded respectfully as Harris passed. The admiral who had witnessed the beginning of the Veil crisis was now something of a living legend. The memorial hall occupied the center of the station, a vast circular space with a holographic display showing the faces of those who had died fighting the Veil. At its center stood a perfect replica of the Firestorm device, deactivated but serving as a permanent reminder. Dr. Alan Wright waited near the Powell Memorial, a simple stone plinth with the names of the 6 humans who had delivered the Firestorm. His hair had gone completely white, but his eyes remained sharp. 5 years, Wright said as they approached. Sometimes it feels like yesterday. Harris clasped the scientist's shoulder. Any news about your research? Wright had dedicated himself to studying the remaining data from the ancient artifact, searching for information about other threats that might exist in the galaxy. Nothing definitive, Wright replied, but there are references to other species the ancients encountered, some potentially as dangerous as the Veil. Olivia frowned. Should we be concerned? Not immediately, Wright assured her, but we should remain vigilant. The artifact suggests the galaxy is very old, with cycles of civilization rising and falling over billions of years. The memorial hall began filling with representatives from across the Alliance. The annual remembrance ceremony had become an important tradition, a time to honor the sacrifices made and renew commitments to mutual defense. Professor Kelly arrived in a hover chair, his health failing but his mind still brilliant. Under his guidance, the Alliance had established research centers dedicated to understanding the physics behind Firestorm technology, ensuring it could be deployed again if necessary while preventing its misuse. The Altarians have detected unusual energy readings at the galaxy's edge, Kelly informed them quietly. Similar to Veil signatures but distinctly different. Harris' expression hardened. Survivors. Or something else entirely, Kelly replied. An expedition is being prepared. Volunteers only, of course. Olivia studied the faces around them. Humans, Altarians, Vulturi, Zin, and a dozen other species, all working together despite their differences. Whatever it is, we'll face it together, she said. That's the real legacy of Firestorm, not just the weapon, but the alliance it created. As the ceremony began, a moment of silence fell across the gathered representatives. On worlds throughout the Alliance, similar ceremonies were taking place, all timed to coincide. Harris stepped forward to deliver the traditional address. 5 years ago, humanity stood on the brink of extinction, as did all sentient life in our galaxy. Today, we stand united, stronger than ever before. He gestured to the holographic display showing Powell and her team. Their sacrifice purchased our future. Their warning continues to echo across the stars. We are not alone in this vast universe, and we are no longer defenseless. As Harris spoke, long-range sensors at the edge of Allied space continued monitoring the strange energy readings. Whatever waited beyond the known regions of the galaxy would find not isolated, vulnerable civilizations, but a united force ready to defend itself. The final warning remained clear. Threaten one world, and you threaten them all. And the galaxy burns.